Well, I've got some bad news and I've got some good news. The bad news is it was same old for the Cubs today, no offense and another loss. And the good news is
you are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
you are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Sam Olber. I'm a lifelong fan taking my passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and give us a comment below. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Packed show for you today. Obviously, I'm fired up and not in a good way. We've got news and notes, Assad back, Birdie down, all that fun stuff. We've got we're going to take a look at what now, for the Cubs. Obviously, the goals have changed. The season has dramatically changed here since the All-Star break. You've gone from a game up heading into the All-Star break to now 7.5 back since the break. So what now? How do you approach it? How am I going to approach it as a fan, let alone a podcaster? We're going to talk about that, some things that could be changed, and just a lot of organizational stuff. We start with, of course, Game 1, Cubs Blue Jays, which was just more of the same. This game was basically, if you had to create a script of how the games have been going here for the last couple of weeks, this one followed it to a T. The Cubs had a whopping 4 hits in this baseball game. They committed 2 errors, both by Dansby Swanson. I believe both those errors were because he and the rest of the team are pressing. They're frustrated. They're angry. There was more helmets being thrown today. There was more bats being thrown today than there was base hits. Cubs had a couple opportunities. They had 2 on, no out in the 3rd inning after Dansby reached on what they called infield hit. Should have been ruled an error. Shaw walked. Michael Busch flew out. Seiya popped out. Tucker walked. And Carson Kelly got rung up. Hey, 3! With the bases loaded. Later in the game, I believe it was the 7th inning, the Cubs had more opportunities. Couple guys on. They actually had 2 on, nobody out. Then Busch got a bloop hit. It was a pretty good opportunity there to score as runners on the corners. First and second. Seiya came up, struck out. First and second, 1 out, down 4-1. Tucker first pitched, lazy grounded to third, and then whipped his helmet in the dugout. First and second, 2 outs. Then Kelly walked, and then Pete Crow-Armstrong left on left struck out in a non-competitive at bat. Javier Assad made his season debut today. He was not good. Going to give Javi a pass on this one just because this Blue Jays lineup's really good. They don't strike out a lot. They're a really good offense, and it's just, I think Assad's in that group of guys that, hey, when the wind's blowing in at Wrigley, you love them. And in these type of situations, the Cubs, we'll see. We'll see what Cade can do against a lineup of this quality. But, of course, the story was the offense, and I'm a broken record here. We all are. They're not hitting, and it's the main guys. And I just don't subscribe to the theory. Like, I'm hearing a lot of this lately. Boog talked about it today. Well, they've been a great offense all year. 2 things could be true. They could be one of the top offenses in the league, but they could be a problem, the main problem right now. And again, it's very logical thinking. I get it. Sahadev Sharma on Northside Territory was talking about, hey, listen, they were, I don't want to exact quote because I don't know the exact numbers, but they were, a top 1 or 2 offense in April, a top 3 offense in May. Then it dropped in June and July to top 15. Now it's bottoming out. And it's like, hey, so, it's just 1 month of this. I just think the Cubs have to do a better job of looking at trends, right? Like, it was trending in this direction. And I understand that, we've talked about this. The Cubs don't have an answer if Kyle Tucker's not going to hit. All right. We've talked about it, and, they don't have an answer for that. They don't have an answer for Pete, Tucker, Seiya, Busch all not hitting at the same time. but it does feel like there's other things that they could do to shake things up, whether that's call up one of the young kids, Casey or Ballesteros, whether it's shift the order and just totally mess with it. Maybe it's putting a guy like Tucker on the IL because even though he might not be physically hurt, they need to give him a break because it's just getting worse at this point. I don't know what it is, but it feels like the strategy, and we're going to talk about this, and really the theme of this episode is it's just hope. They're just hoping it turns around. They're sitting on their hands and going, hey, the percentages say it's going to turn around, and we hope this and we hope that. And the Brewers are a big part of this story, whether we like it or not, whether we're tired of talking about it or not. And I think back to like great athletes or great entertainers. I'll use two that I know as a fact off the top of my head. Michael Jackson, when he used to do music videos, right? He would hire the best guys that you could hire, the guys, the best movie directors, guys like Martin Scorsese or John Landis or whoever it was, right? Because he wanted to be surrounded by the best. He knew, hey, they do something right. Let's bring them to what I'm doing. Kobe Bryant, when he wanted to get better at footwork, who did he call and work out with for a summer? He worked out with Akeem Olajuwon, right? The greatest footwork big man of all time. And it's like the Cubs need to look up at the Brewers and stop thinking, all right, and in their defense, maybe they thought Counsell was that. They've got to say, what are they doing? What is this organization doing? Because enough of the flukiness or the luck. They've been better. Like everyone keeps saying the Brewers are lucky. Okay, fine. Maybe there's a little luck into that. They've been better than you for 7 consecutive years, not counting the COVID season. So there's something that they're doing that you're not, that you've got to figure out and start adjusting to. Great business people, successful people, they have the ability to say, I'm not good enough at this. What's this person doing? Maybe let's try that. It just feels like, and I get it. It's not something that could be done during the season, but it just feels like the Cubs philosophy. This is now the 3rd year in a row where every Cubs major hitter is struggling at the same time, right? Somebody's got to figure out a way to stop it. And in Jed's defense, and not that I want to defend Jed, but that was supposed to be Kyle Tucker, and he's not doing it right now. And somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. And I don't know if it's Craig's leadership. Do they need some sort of media? Do they need a team meeting? Or do they just need guys to start hitting and maybe one guy gets a big hit and it gets everybody going? I don't know what it is, but something has to change. And the last thing I'll say on this is I'm really tired about, since the end of May, the Cubs still have the 3rd best record in the NL. Who cares? What's their record since the All-Star break? They went into the All-Star break a game up, and now they're 7.5 out. And I get it. A lot of that's because of Milwaukee, but the Cubs are a couple games under 500 too. So who cares? Forget Milwaukee right now. That's what we're going to talk about next. Forget Milwaukee right now. You've got to take care of your own business before you could complain about other teams and go, oh, well, the Brewers are playing great. We're doing the best we can. Not if you win 89 games. Not if you win 88 games. You've got a job to do. You were on a 95, 96, 97 win pace. If you get to 95 wins, then you can complain about, well, there's nothing we could do when the Brewers play like this. But right now, you can't complain about anything because the Cubs aren't doing what they need to do. They're not holding up their end of the bargain. And, it's really hard to watch right now. So, what next, right? What do we do? What am I going to do as a fan and a podcaster? How do we get through this? And where's the light at the end of the tunnel? And what do you do, right? What do you do right now when you're in a moment of real adversity with this season and hopefully rock bottom? We're going to talk about that coming up next. This episode is brought to you by OpenPhone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? Nope, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Did you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? OpenPhone solved that instantly. Your whole team could share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Show listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. We are back here on Locked On Cubs. And look, this is obviously a really hard point in the season. The Cubs they've lost a series against the Reds at home. They lost a series in St. Louis. They've lost the opener here. They've lost 5 out of 7. The division now seems more like a pipe dream than anything else. And you kind of have to ask yourself, so what now, right? Because there's still a lot of baseball to be played. You can't just go, well, the season's over. You know what I mean? You can't do that, right? There's still baseball to be played. There's still opportunities out there, right? You never take for granted being able to get to the postseason. So how do you approach this now? Well, here's what I'll say. The first thing you got to do is forget about the division. Forget about what the Brewers are doing. Don't even let that impact you or pressure you anymore. It's meaningless, right? They can win 115. They can win 105. They can whatever it is. The only thing that Brewers relevant now is when you play them next week for 5 games. See if you can find a way to win a series. Okay. This offense right now, and look, the way this organization is designed is over hope. Hoping you outperform expectations. They didn't do anything big at the trade deadline, so now the goal automatically shifts to, let's hope we get into the postseason. Let's hope we're playing well at that time, and then anything could happen, right? That I know that doesn't sound good, and I'm not meaning it to sound good. I'm not meaning it to sound bad. That's just a fact. That's this year's plan. When you have your general manager come out and talk about 2032 and focusing on that, clearly the organizational philosophy of the Chicago Cubs under Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins is building a team that is an 83-ish, 80-ish to 90-ish win team, where if everything goes right, and we saw in the beginning of the year outside of the pitching injuries, everything went right. If everything goes right, they could be awesome. But the odds are everything's not going to go right for 6 months, right? So, when things go badly, hopefully it balances out. Hopefully they win enough to win, to get in the postseason. And then you hope that you get hot at the right time, like the 2023 Diamondbacks did. I mean, Tom Ricketts even used them as an example of, hey, they didn't spend a lot of money. They didn't win that many games. And look, they went and won the got to the World Series and lost to the Rangers. Rangers, another good example. Now, they spent a lot of money, but they were a 90-win team that limped their way to the postseason, and then they got hot at the right time. That's what it is. Hope. And I'm not trying to be like negative about it. Where my shift is the plan of this organization is to hope that this team turns it around, and hope that come the end of September, they're playing their best baseball of the year so they can carry it over for a couple game series. Because I'll tell you, it's not like it would be shocking if the Cubs got hot and guys started to hit again, and you saw April, mid-April through July Pete, and March and April Kyle Tucker. If those guys came together again, would it really shock you if they won 2 out of 3 against the Padres and then won 3 out of 5 against Milwaukee? No, because those guys went into Milwaukee and beat them up in April. You know what I mean? So all you could do now is forget about the standings for right now, especially in the division, and you just have to see if these guys can figure it out. How does that happen? Well, I've talked about it yesterday. I'll talk about it again. I think you're 2 games away from maybe seeing Kyle Tucker go to the IL. I know Counsell said it today that, he needs to get ABs. This is a guy, I mean, you saw him today when he tapped out to third, he whipped his helmet. I mean, the frustration right now, I mean, it's not like these guys don't care. Let's put it that way. You got to get him right. Everything starts with getting him right. The slump that Say is in, with all due respect to him, doesn't surprise me at all. That's who he is. But guess what? The good news is it's not mid-September. It's mid-August. So hopefully the Seiya roller coaster goes up again. And if it can go up again from mid-September to mid-October, maybe this team could make a run. And, Michael Busch, not surprised that he's slumping, right? A lot that's what's so frustrating about this season. A lot of this regression you could see coming. You just didn't see it coming from Tucker, and you didn't see it coming all at the same time. Ian Happ, I've kind of given up on at this point. Like when he gets little decent stretches. I think Dansby's done a really nice job through this stretch offensively. Nico as well. Matt Shaw, we talked about yesterday. You just got to get a couple of these guys going. I personally would love to see a shakeup. I'd love to see Ballesteros with the big club or Casey with the big club, even if that means you have to IL a guy like Tucker. I just think this team needs a shakeup. You just need it. You need to do something, in my opinion. I just think continuing to sit here and wait is not the strategy. But at the same time, like I said, you have to hope at some point that it turns around. I think there's things the Cubs could do. Maybe change the leadoff. Maybe put Tucker batting leadoff tomorrow. I mean, I would even think about it's like Little League. Like I remember when my travel team struggled. We were really in a big slump one day, and we went to the park and we picked lineups out of a hat. And we scored like 10 runs. I don't know what it is that you need to do, but I think you need to change something in the short term to just relax this team. I think Counsell. I do think there's a little bit of reflection of leadership here, because it's just like when this is now year 2 in a row with Counsell where for a large chunk of time, everybody on the team is struggling at once. It's your job as a manager to try and minimize that. I understand he can't hit for him, but could he change the order? Could Jed help him out? Can they call up somebody? I don't know what it is, but I think something in the short term needs to change for like a shakeup. And I think long term, if you're listening and you're like, Sam, I don't want to watch the Bears yet. I want to try and make the postseason. You have to it's very hard. And obviously it's been very hard for me to do. I've been extremely negative on the show. But now it's a reality. The season after the All-Star break, you snap your fingers. That's how quick it could change. And it's a good lesson for everybody out there. I know that I'm an overreactor, but it's also you could be an underreactor. And I think this Cubs franchise and this organization, they're underreactors. They're too much. Well, it's just 10 games. Well, it's just 15 games. You could snap your fingers and blink and your goals could change, because the All-Star break wasn't that long ago. It was about a month ago. And a month later, here we are, 7.5 games out, and everything's flipped. Obviously, it's taken a historic stretch from the Brewers. I get it. But it's not like the Cubs have done their part either. So all you could do is make the playoffs, because I mean, if you don't do that, now you're talking about somebody has to lose their job if that happens, which I still want to maintain. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I do believe, just like I believed last year after June that the offense was going to turn it around at some point. It just took too long. I do believe this offense is going to turn it around at some point, because it's just math. It's just the law of averages at this point. I just think the Cubs wait too long for that to happen, but maybe that's a separate conversation. Maybe that's an off-season conversation. I do believe they're going to turn it around. And if you really want to be a glass half full guy, the longer it takes to turn it around, hopefully it sustains, and then maybe you could ride it into October. I don't know, but that's all you can do right now. That's all that these players can do right now is just, this is a disaster. It's unbelievable to watch. The scariest part about watching it, guys, is that they're not even close. Like, it's not like they're hitting into a ton of tough luck today. I mean, Tucker got a first pitch fastball in the first inning right down the middle from Berrios. He just wasn't even close. He just popped it right up. And Seiya with guys on, just striking out, just not close. Even the run they scored was a soft single from Castro, a soft single from Busch. Swanson's infield hit should have been an error. I mean, 3 of their 4 hits weren't even well hit. They're totally lost right now. And, there are no answers, but luckily it's not mid-September, it's mid-August, and you just have to hope, because that's what this organization is telling you they're doing, hope that they could figure it out here soon. But man, it's tough. It's as frustrated as I've been, and last year was really frustrating. Obviously the division, like I said, is tough. I mean, you look at the rest of the NL. I mean, the Padres are really good, man. They might win this. They might win the West. We know the Dodgers are the defending champs, and until somebody beats them, they're the team to beat. We know what Milwaukee's doing. Philly is significantly better than the Cubs right now. So it's going to be tough. I mean, even if you get to October, even if you're playing well, it's going to be really tough. So I think looking at all that stuff makes it daunting, makes it worse. Right now, you just have to take it day by day and just hope for signs, see if you can get your best hitter going and that it trickles down from there. Cubs made a bunch of roster moves, a bunch of different situations and catchers and all these things. John Birdie's gone. Let's talk about all of that coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you could save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Folks, if you love this ball club, one thing that you might want to do is August 15th, they're going to be home against the Pirates. Might be a good idea if Tucker's in the lineup to give him like a Trey Turner, Mookie Betts style standing ovation when he gets introduced to the plate to just try and get him going. I'm serious. Anything. Just give it away. Hey, Kyle, we're with you, man. We know you can get through this. I'm going to try and go to that game on Saturday. If I do, I'm going to use Game Time, and I'll do anything to get Kyle Tucker and this offense going. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are back here on Locked On Cubs, trying to do the best we can during the toughest of times in this baseball season. Cubs made a lot of moves today. I was hoping that they would make a big one, a Owen Casey back in Canada, or a Moises Ballesteros, to this day, I think has the biggest hit of the Cubs season. He's still down, something like that. But they didn't. But they did call up Javier Assad, who made his debut today, and activated Miguel Amaya as well. They didn't call up Assad. They activated him off the 60-day IL and then brought up Amaya as well. Nate Pearson was sent down, and John Birdie got DFA'd. Little surprise there. Cubs right now are carrying 3 catchers, which we'll talk about in a second. And then it sounds like Jameson Taillon should be good to go next homestand. I think he's probably going to pitch in that Brewers series. Take that for what you will. My guess would be when he comes up, maybe a pitcher goes down or maybe one of the catchers goes down. I don't know. And then good news, Michael Soroka looks like he's going to be throwing here pretty soon, and they have an early September return date for him. So hopefully he will be able to contribute a little bit for the Cubs down the stretch. I thought it was interesting that Birdie got DFA'd. Matt kind of saw that coming. I just like having speed on the bench late when you're playing a close game, especially, in October. I know that kind of sounds crazy because he got thrown out on Sunday, but the Cubs now, their bench without Birdie, it's just so slow. You have Turner, you have the 2 catchers, you have Castro. So maybe there's something they could do at the minor league level when the rosters expand to just get a little bit of speed off the bench. I think that's important, to pinch run and see what you could do there. But right now the Cubs are carrying the catchers. I'm trying to think of why they would want to carry 3 catchers. Maybe because of the offense. I mean, Kelly's been one of their better hitters. Amaya was one of their better hitters before he went down. And believe it or not, Reese McGuire over the last month has probably been one of their better hitters. I don't think that's why. I'm not really sure why they're doing it, but, maybe there's something there that they know that I don't know. I just think Birdie's speed is more valuable, especially when you're struggling to score runs. But they went in that direction. Disappointing season for John Birdie. Really thought that acquisition was going to help the team on the margins, and it flat out didn't. In fact, it was really poor. He wasn't great defensively. he was really disappointing offensively. There were times early in the year he flashed his speed, and it was nice to see, but just not what you wanted out of that free agent signing. I'm sure he'll get picked up somewhere, and with the way things are going, he'll probably hit a couple home runs, couple doubles when his name's called. Tyone being back and pitching against the Brewers terrifies me. Hopefully the wind is blowing in that day and it's freezing, because we saw what happened last time Tyone faced the Brewers at Wrigley. It did not go well at all. Assad being back gives you some depth. Like I said, no disrespect to Assad. It was his first start, but he just feels like he's in that pile with Tyone, with Colin Ray, of guys of like, yeah, man, if the conditions are right and the matchup's decent, he could be really good. But can you expect him to go on the road against a really good offense like this and produce well? No. Same with JMO if he were to pitch today. You know what I mean? It's just right now it feels like it's Boyd. It feels like it's Imanaga. And it feels like the guy starting tomorrow, Cade Horton, who's going to have a heck of an opportunity. If you want a reason to turn on your television on Wednesday night, who cares about the offense? Watching this young man go pitch in Toronto is going to be real interesting. His ERA on the road is in the mid-5s. This is a really good offense, as I've said many times. If he were to go out there tomorrow and throw like 6 strong, or who knows, they might be careful with him again. But if he looks really good tomorrow, what a fun story that would be, because that's probably going to be his biggest test of the season. So we'll see how Cade looks tomorrow. And like I said, right now, sounds cliche, day by day, pitch by pitch, inning by inning. Just look for any good signs that you could find with this team right now. Right now, offensively, there are none. I'm really tired of the excuses of, well, the Brewers are so great. Well, since the break, you haven't been great either. If you win 95 games, we'll all complain about the Brewers season. But if you stumble your way to 87, 88 wins with the way you're playing now, you don't deserve to win the division anyway. You were 57-39 at the All-Star break. And you guys know me. I just wish there was a little bit more of the human element with this team. It just feels still too percentage-based, too wait and see, to just, hey, let's just see what happens. There's nothing we could do. There is always something you could do right now. These guys are pressing. They're human beings. Baseball's really hard. Being a major league player is really hard. Having, people criticize you all the time is really hard, and it weighs on you, and it's weighing on these guys right now. They need a lift. They need a spark. They don't need a binder that says, hey, this guy likes to throw a slider 1-2. They need something to change the mentality, to get them going again, to get them feeling confident again, whether it's something on the field, like a big 2-run triple or a big hit or something off the field. They need a lift. Somebody in that clubhouse or Craig Counsell or somebody, they got to get these guys a lift and get them to calm down, because we know maybe this team isn't as good as it was in April and May, but we all know that they're not as bad as how they're playing right now. And I hope they turn it around soon. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 30 minutes and we'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Sam Olber, and this is Locked On Cubs.